Greetings all, salam alaikum. I'm very excited to welcome all of you to Darjana's first ever virtual open house. Can everybody hear me? Can I get a thumbs up? Miss Noel? All right, great. Can I get the slide, please, Miss Noel? Super, thank you so much. My name is Matthew Wilkins. I'm the superintendent of the boys section, and I am presenting today along with Miss Noel Mosali, our new superintendent of the girls section. Additionally, we have a set of distinguished panelists listed below, and they will help answer your questions throughout this webinar. Kindly note, throughout the webinar, you can ask any question to our panelists. They will answer you. You may ask your questions in English or Arabic. You will receive answers in the language that you asked your questions in. Do note, our open house is meant to facilitate a positive interaction between the school and its stakeholders. Anyone acting inappropriate will be dismissed from this webinar. I will also remind everyone that this webinar is being recorded. Slide, please. Goals and objectives. These are the goals and objectives of today's webinar. We wish to provide you with general information about Darjana International School. So this will let you know about all of our rigorous curriculum, the many activities we offer, and the services we provide for our students. Today we will preview three learning models, which many of you have already seen through our newsletter. And our emphasis today will be on the live virtual sessions because we are going virtual for the first 7 weeks of school to be determined by the ministry afterwards. And additionally, and again, this is to answer your questions. The focus of this is to answer any questions you may have about any of these goals and objectives. It could be about the learning model. It could be about health and safety, curriculum, technology, anything related to Darjana. It is my privilege to hand over the rest of this webinar to someone who's only been here a short time, but she's jumped right in and learned seemingly everything there is to know about Darjana, which, trust me, is a lot. And I know you will all be impressed with her as we have been in this last month or so, and that's Miss Noel Mosali. Miss Noel.
I guess it would help if I unmuted myself. Thank you so much, Mr. Wilkins, for that warm welcome. As a matter of fact, it's been very easy for me because I have really been accepted into the Darjana family. And honestly, that's what it is. It's a family. And it's been wonderful joining all of you. So thank you for coming in today. As you'll notice, we do have a max of 1,000 viewers for our webinars. We maxed out at that. And so those individuals who missed it, fortunately, this is recorded. And like Mr. Wilkins said, we are going to do our best today to ensure that we answer all of your questions, including the questions that were sent to us via the survey. Speaking of surveys, one of the most important things that we would like to share are the results from the survey that we sent to our families over the summer. And so these are the results. Obviously, I guess with the questions that we had, it was very, I think it's fortunate for us since number one for us too is also safety. So one of the things that all of our parents noted is that safety is number one for them. And so there were expressions about, if it's not safe, if there's still a virus going on, they want to make sure that they stay home and they can function virtually. But also if they're in school, that they're safe. And so I'm very proud to say that we're prepared for both. And we will go through that in our presentation today. The dashboard, a lot of our parents express that it gives them comfort. They like the dashboard. It's very smooth. It's easy to click. It's just very colorful. It's fun. And so that is something that we have considered when looking at our blended learning model as we train our teachers, because we've started training for the past 2 weeks. We still have 1 more week of training prior to our students coming in on the 30th, and that's when they will get their training. So we will ensure that we have dashboard, and I'll explain that as well when we go through our learning models. The third thing that came up was a lot of parents expressed that they were disappointed with what took place in March. It was very sudden. And so we're prepared this year. And we're very proud to say that we will be providing live online synchronous sessions. So just a little tidbit on the definition. Synchronous means that it's live, it's in real time. And asynchronous means that it is the time when students will follow through their Google Classroom and keep up with their assignments. They can do it at their own time. But we will be providing synchronous classes that are live. Another feedback tidbit was progress monitoring. And so parents expressed that they needed feedback. And so some of the things that we've been hearing from a lot of our families is that there was the impression that when students were doing their online learning, if they submitted an assignment, because they didn't get feedback from our teachers, they felt they didn't need to do it. And we know that you work very hard, just like we do, to ensure that our students complete their assignments, that they understand that learning is number one. It is important. That is why you have chosen Darjana. And so for this academic school year, we are ensuring that we will have feedback. Not only that, you will have access to that feedback through Google Classroom. And so when I talk about the virtual learning platforms, I'll go in a little bit more about how you can view that as well. And then there was the request for a full assessment schedule. And so what that means is that parents, again, expressed that they wanted to know how many quizzes their child will have so they know that they can prepare them. And we are going to distinguish the difference between a quiz and an assessment since they are weighed differently. And so if your child had dictation, you would still know about it. It will be in there. It will not, inshallah, collide with the other assessments that they're taking, the other quizzes, but you should have that full schedule for your child. Another concern, of course, which I know a lot of people are probably asking questions already, we will be sure to address this. This is the tuition fee question. And so when the survey was sent, obviously there was no announcement yet about virtual learning, and so there was a lot of questions about the tuition fees. The best thing that I can tell you, and I will continue repeating this as we go through, is I'm so proud to be working with a family where we are guaranteeing 100% full capacity. And what we mean by that is that all of our staff are working for helping your child's education. And so while I know that there are other schools right now that are giving tuition breaks or cutting down, that means they're also cutting down on their staff. We believe that when you sign up for Darjana and we're giving you our mission and vision, that we're working 100% to ensure that you're being able to use all of our resources. And right now, that is our staff. And so that is something where we are not willing to compromise cutting down on our staff. The other question that came up or comment through our surveys was at-home learning guidance concerns. We have the same concerns with our staff. I'm smiling because I have 4 children, and I have 4 children in all divisions, elementary, middle school, and high school. And so I know this is a concern that all of us have. What do I do when my child is at home learning and I have work? That is the biggest question. And so again, we thought about this while we did our training. And so our children, your children, will access their learning through Dashboard. It is something that everybody is familiar with. And that way it's still comfortable and they will go to one link. And I'll describe that as well as we go through this webinar. And the last concern or comment was they want Darjana to provide socialization opportunities. And I'm very proud again to say that we're prepared for that, and I will share with you what those social opportunities will be for this exciting academic school year. All right, so as you know, Darjana, we follow the WISE sort of program, and this is well-rounded, interdependent, meaning that they collaborate, self-directed, and it's an educational program. And this is through our mission and vision. If you didn't notice, it's plastered everywhere. Our kids take pride in it as well as our staff, and it is part of our mission. You'll see it also on our website if you visited our website, especially those of our new families that are joining us today too. So I forgot to mention, while I'm new to the Darjana family, we also have new Darjana family members joining us today on this webinar. And so welcome. So if some things sound redundant, I apologize, but we're just going to go through since we do have some new family members joining us today as well. So Darjana mission is to empower our students to become well-rounded, interdependent, self-directed learners in a stimulating multicultural environment by fostering a robust educational program. I know I don't need to say much. Those people who know about Darjana know that we have a rigorous curriculum, and we are dedicated and committed to ensuring that rigorous curriculum, whether we're face-to-face or whether we're online. Our vision is to ensure that we empower our students to become effective learners. They need to be decision makers and sustain a healthy, dynamic, comprehensive, and rich multicultural environment that helps and is conducive to the quality education, autonomy, enhanced social skills, and high moral values. I also know as a parent that you are considering or thinking about what virtual learning will be like when we want to ensure that we instill those values. And again, because we're working at 100% capacity, we will be taking care of all of those needs. That's needs of our parents, needs of our students, and needs of our staff. So just so you know, Darjana is accredited by Cognia and licensed by the Ministry of Education as an international school. So what does that mean, and why is it important? What it means is that we are an American diploma school. It means that at the end of every academic school year, your child has a stamped report card that lets anybody know who sees it that we are accredited by an accreditation agency. It also means that we meet those high standards by that accreditation agency and that we're recognized internationally. And so just a little bit about Cognia. So you know, there are 3 organizations related to this. There are other agencies, as a matter of fact, and that is the North Central Association Commission on Accreditation and School Improvement, Northwest Accreditation Commission, and Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Council on Accreditation and School Improvement. And so it's a very intense policy that we go through in order to ensure that we get accredited. And so when we go through strategic planning, it's very meaningful and is something we should all be very proud of. University acceptances, something else to be proud of. So when I mentioned about the report card and what that looks like, what it means is, again, it's recognized internationally, especially for our college students. And so just to let you know where we matriculate to, I wanted to just share with you that we do have guidance counselors in both our boys' school and our girls' school. One thing you need to know is that we work very closely. We're a wonderful partnership, which is why we have our panelists from our boys' school and our girls' school right now answering your questions, if you had any questions. We matriculate to Canada, to Sharjah, to the UK, to the United States, Lebanon, and obviously locally as well. And we ensure that when students join us, that we start that program from grade 9 through 12. So thank you to Mr. El-Amki and Ms. Wehbi. So they help us as guiding counselors with our students. They will have meetings with you to discuss your child's desire and where they want to go for university. We also understand that with the pandemic, that we do have a lot of students that initially had a visa, wanted to go to university, and right now are stuck here. What we're proud to say, though, is that our students that are here are able to matriculate to local universities, and that's because our standard is very high. One thing that you will know from our students that go to overseas, they will let you know that Darjana prepared them very well. They earn that, they get that work ethic, and they're ready compared to other students. And so that is something that I think you can be proud of. And so one thing to share with you here is that we have served over 56,000 students over 2 decades. And that we have nationalities, of course, we have 50% representation of different nationalities internationally. And so I will mention later how our staff mirrors that, which we're very proud of as well. 21 years of experience. Darjana is not new. We're very reputable, and we want to ensure that we keep that. And so again, I know that there were questions that were sent to us about the curriculum, about the rigor of the curriculum. A lot of parents are nervous, especially since the interruption in March. And I'm very proud to tell you that we are all committed, boys' school and girls' school, to that rigorous curriculum. Grade 12, we have more than 1,000 graduates. Last year, we were proud to graduate 250 students in our senior year. One thing that, so this is a nice map to kind of show you where our students matriculate to. So again, it's interesting or good to see it when you look at it regionally, because we serve a diverse population. Again, we ensure that we meet your needs. And so I was just informed too that the email address for Ms. Wehby for some reason is inaccurate. So we'll be sure to have that accurate and shared with you, because it's important that you have their email address. So throughout the 21 years, like I said, we've served so many students. I think what's important to know is that we also have scholarships. Our scholarships offered was over 150,000 reals. And so just so you know that we every year provide these scholarships from donors. They're not named donors, so they're special donors to our DJIS community. And it is something that we take pride in every year. And so we do get that financial support for our students that serve and perform well at the end of every academic school year as a senior. Okay, so standardized testing is very important. It's something to think about when you enroll into a school. So again, I'm addressing our new DJIS family members as well as our veterans. So just so you know that we do use College Board testing. We start our PSATs in grade 8. Again, that helps us so that way when we have our education and continue through the years, you can feel comforted that your child is performing at grade level, if not above grade level. And so we have our PSAT that is given to, offered to grade 8, grade 9, and grade 10 students. It is a standardized test. So again, we can compare it to international standards. We have our SAT, of course, that we do. And I'm very proud to say again that we are offering our SAT this Saturday. So we have not canceled our SAT. And SAT 2 subject test is also offered, as well as advanced placement. So a new feature that we have this year is our measurement of academic progress. I'm very excited to announce that we are bringing in MAP testing. What that means is that when students register, I know if you're new to us right now, your child did not register this way, but we do have MAP testing as part of our registration process. And we will have it throughout the school year. So again, when parents are asking about tuition fee deductions, we are putting in all of our efforts, our financial efforts, into our infrastructure for our school in order to hold students with devices, as well as to accommodate our online testing that will be taking place for students that are coming to school face-to-face. I wanted to have this visual for you because I think it's important to mention or note that when students take this MAP test, what is awesome about it is that when your child takes it, there's this visual that you see. So this is something that is shared with parents, and it's very easy because it's color-coded. And so if your child performs blue, what that means is that your child is actually advanced or above grade level. Now, a secret that I think a lot of people share with our Darjana families is that, for example, our grade 4 students take grade 5 math. And so that is something that you can take pride in. And again, this is a standardized test that will help you sort of correlate where your child is performing at. If your child is green, what it means that they're on track at grade level and meeting those standards. If you look closely at this slide, what it also shows is the instructional areas. So just like a student who's performed blue and is gifted or advanced, it still tells you what they can work on. So again, just because we have high-performing students does not mean that we don't assist them in improving on those academic strands that they need assistance in. Okay, so we also have, if it's red, that is sort of a red flag for us as a school. And so it cues us in that perhaps our child needs more support, but it doesn't mean learning support. Yellow is where we would look and contact our learning support program. And again, I'm going to repeat it. We're working at 100% capacity, which means we still have our learning support program. We have our speech therapist. And so we have those channels that we go through when we're concerned about a child's learning in order to help their learning needs. And so if a child is yellow, that cues us in that perhaps that child is scoring low for multiple reasons. So this is just one data point that can assist us in making those decisions. Not only that, parents will say, they always ask, how do I prepare for MAP testing? Just like parents ask, how do I prepare for the SAT? Are you still providing interventions and support classes? We do provide support classes for SAT. However, what I like to say to every parent and what our guidance counselors will remind you is that if your student is working hard with their English, math, and science anyway, they're ready for those standardized tests. Because again, we take pride in our rigorous curriculum and we ensure that we meet those international standards, if not beyond those international standards. The last thing about standardized testing that we do have is tahsili. And what's great about that too is we do have an intervention program online for that, and that is for students who will matriculate locally into the kingdom. All right, so about Darjana. One thing, obviously we have a boys' school and a girls' school. Again, we work very closely, including our structure, which means that we do have coordinators and our department chairs, so they all coordinate together. And so we try our best to ensure that if your child's in Rauda or if your child's in Hira, it really doesn't matter. If they're in grade 7, they are receiving the same standards. Okay, so it's very important that our families know that. It also means that because we have 2 locations, and when we talk about the models for zoning, it may differ. And so I'm very proud with our communication channels. And so we will continue using those communication channels should we go face-to-face or have to go into, if we're in a red zone and have to go 100% virtually. We start at nursery, which is really lovely, and we go up to grade 12. Our class sizes are 1 to 25. We do not go above 25. Again, very excited due to our owner, honestly, is a visionary. And so already we have started working on having our chairs, our desks, our student desks with acrylic shields. Again, I'm a parent. And so when we talk about safety and we talk about coming back to school, we are ready, and we're ready, and it's going to create, you're going to feel comforted when you see these desks, because not only do we have the acrylic shields in that desk for that student, we also have them on the sides. And then because they're clear, your child can still see the whiteboard. And so we're keeping that 1 to 25 ratio. It still fits. I got to correct myself. It really fits with Herat. There's also renovations that were going on over the summer in order to accommodate students in Rauda. So that is something that again, we're prepared for face-to-face. So even if it was not announced that we had virtual school at this time, we have prepared for face-to-face learning. And we'll show you some pictures of that. Again, we're working at 100% full capacity. And so we are not collapsing any sections and overcrowding our students for online learning. So again, that is a deep concern that many of our staff members had, many of our parents had. And so the question was, if I go online, what does Darjana's classrooms look like? Is there going to be 60 kids? Do I have a teacher that is from the boys section teaching at the girls section? And that is not going to happen. So again, we function as 2 different schools, and we are going to keep those classrooms sacred from our boys' school to our girls' school. And actually, our girls' section parents and families will be getting an extra form, an acceptance policy to sign, because we take the safety of our children as well as our staff very seriously. And what that means is that there's to be no screenshotting, no sharing of those live online sessions, because just as you, not just you, I think all of us would not want someone to take a photograph of our child or a video footage of our child in a learning environment. We also want to hold that same standard for our staff. And so please, we are asking not to do that. If it is found or discovered that a student or a parent had access to those sessions and screenshotted it and shared it, it kind of goes out of Darjana's hands and then becomes a police matter. And so we will be giving some sessions to talk about copyright, as well as acceptance use policies, as well as having our students consider the think protocol as well prior to posting anything. So for example, they need to ask themselves, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it kind? And so I hope that many of you in this session now understand that we're all about transparency. And so if you have any questions, we will always answer them. And we always think it's better to get to the source. So our school campus hours is the other thing. We function from 7 to 3. We are not changing that. We are not adjusting our campus hours. What that means though, and I know if we have elementary parents, we have quite a few of you, I think, that signed up. There's more than 30% of our elementary parents right now, or new parents that are coming in. And so I know you have questions about the hours, and I will talk about that later. But right now, our school campus hours will be from 7 to 3, which means if you have meetings with teachers, it will be during that time. Again, I want to repeat, we have high safety standards. Again, when you walk in, from that point of when you walk in and you're getting your temperature checked, you're sanitizing your hands, and then coming in, you are in a mask. It is something that is mandatory, and all of our staff take safety seriously. They do it for their families, they do it for themselves, and they're doing it for you. And so that is something, again, we take full pride in. As a matter of fact, I'm so proud. We had a parent who let us know today that coming in on that step, she almost tripped. So that head-on step that you know of, so we have our engineer on it, and we will fix that so that way we don't have, it's kind of a high step right when you get in. So we're gonna make sure we take care of that because safety is so important for us. Now, our facility features, again, we have a wonderful facility on both sides, our Rauda and our head-on. And again, we're adjusting to ensure that we are able to continue with a face-to-face learning. And so there will be some changes that will take place. However, we still have our smart boards. We still have our acrylic student desks, again, that I'm very proud of. We have our playgrounds. We have our gyms. We have our science labs. We have our canteens or our cafeterias. We have libraries, a performing arts room, and a multi-purpose room. So we do have wonderful facilities to continue hosting like our Lego League that we did last year. Our virtual features is our dashboard, Google Classroom, G Suite, Google Meets and Docs. So I want to slow down here. Again, when we talk about working virtually, or actually not virtually, you will have access to your child's dashboard. So again, that is your student management system that manages all the information pertaining to your child. And so again, you can access your report card. That's your child's information is there, as well as the quizzes. And then we have Google Classroom. Google Classroom is the learning management system. It's kind of like if you had your face-to-face classroom. Google Classroom is the virtual classroom that your child will be in, and that's where that learning takes place. So that's where you see the assignments posted, you'll see the syllabus, you'll see the daily lesson, you'll see the weekly lesson. We will make sure that is all in there. As well as actually the dashboard also has that weekly lesson. And then we have the G Suite. So parents are always asking, what about video conferencing? And so I don't want to confuse anyone. Video conferencing is through Google Meets, or what we're doing now with Zoom. And so when we mentioned in our newsletter that we'll be using Google Meets or Zoom, Zoom is really for our webinars like this. And we will be hosting meetings regularly with our families. So with parents, and that's through our social emotional our social workers, for example, talking about social emotional learning. You might have a webinar like this with the guidance counselor. You might have a webinar like this just about safety and health guidelines. And so that's when we will use Zoom because we can max up all the way to 100 participants. Google Meets takes up to 250. However, we're using Google Meets for that classroom video conferencing. And so students will go into dashboard. They just have to click on one link for that day, and then it's like they're in their classroom for the whole day from 7 to 3, or if they're in elementary, it's from 3 p.m. And I'll go over that schedule again before everybody tells me what time will we finish. I'm going to go over that bell schedule. All right, and so then of course our students will be learning how to get on Google Docs, Google Excel sheets, so basically everything that is part of our G Suite. Reporting periods, so those of you, we're still continuing 2 report cards per year. It's 2 semesters. So the end of the semester, we have finals. And so it's really important that people know that. I think people don't realize that when you come in and out of a school, you really want to finish that semester, because that is how schools count credits. And so there's certain credit earnings or seat time through an accreditation company like Cognia, which is why we work towards these high standards. We have some questions already where parents are asking, can I pull out my child, or can I just wait it out? You know, and we understand, we know that there are these real concerns that our families have. Like I said, we are all parents as well, but excluding your child from an education for any amount of time during this academic school year is not advised. And to be honest, coming into Darjana, they would have to go through the whole admissions process again. And honestly, we do not accept students that have missing gaps in their report cards. And so it's very important that families know that you do want to ensure that your child's enrolled in a school that is, again, recognized by the Ministry of Education and ideally accredited the way Darjana is, we're accredited, so that your child can continue their education. Online learning is not recognized by the ministry to get stamped. So please keep that in mind, as I know that there are families that are opting for virtual learning at other institutions. And so it's very important that you understand. We are here to cater to all of our family needs. And again, one of the things I'm very proud of that every parent tells me is that when they do come with a concern, we do take care of it. And I hope that we continue that commitment throughout this year, and that you feel that we are committing to that with your concerns. So standardized testing, I just went over, and then we have our learning support program, which I also have in a slide coming up. So now our dedicated staff, I have to say this, and I am smiling because they are wonderful. It has been so challenging to meet everybody virtually. We are reporting to work. We are reporting physically to school. So I do get to meet some of them, but again, it's so challenging because we're wearing masks. We're ensuring that we have spacing taking place for physical distancing. And so of course we're following all the organizational requirements for any organization. But again, I'm so proud that we are committed to 100% capacity. And like I said, you'd be surprised when you think about these things, just like our canteen, as a matter of fact. Our canteen is open for our staff starting on Sunday, so that way they can purchase their things. So we are working at full capacity and ensuring that our teachers also have access, obviously, to Wi-Fi. Our dedicated staff are student-centered. We are concerned about your child and their individual needs. And so, of course, we have social workers at both ends, our boys' school as well as our girls' school. Like I mentioned, we have our guidance counselors, which will help you get through to your 4-year high school plan to matriculate into university. We have our learning support program. They're wonderful. Absolutely love our learning support program, and I can't wait to talk about it in the slide coming up. And then, of course, we have our gifted and talented committee. Because like I said, just because we have high-performing students does not mean we just forget about them. Just because a student gets 100% all the time, we really want that curiosity for learning. And we want to ensure that our students really aspire to achieving what they want and who they are. So to clarify as well, we have 29% of our faculty hold a master's degree, which is very important, I think, for people to know. If not, some of them hold 2 master's degrees, and that is not included in this statistic. And so we also have teaching diplomas, of course, as well as our AUB teaching program. And so one thing that I think is very important to share is that our teachers go through an intensive program with the American University of Beirut. We're very fortunate that we can continue this program, and we obviously we will have discussions about doing this virtually. We have a very close connection, obviously, with our families in Beirut, as well as the colleagues that we have through this program. And so just a heartfelt, I just want to say that we all feel for what has happened in Lebanon, and we do hope that everyone stays safe. and we love our community in Lebanon as well. So I just want to say that because they did experience some tough times, and just want to let you know that we do ensure that we want to take care of everybody emotionally, and so we do hope that all of you and our loved ones, my husband's Lebanese, so are safe and continue to stay safe in Lebanon. ISTE summer program is also something that our staff has been engaged in. And so they were taking online courses. We have, I think, over 50 staff members that have actually completed that already. And so very proud to say that. And then for the past 2 weeks, we've been doing online in-house blended learning. And so our staff are still continuing with that next week. As a matter of fact, I know that some parents are going to ask us to please be patient with your children, and I'm going to ask you the same thing. Please be patient with our staff. We are ready. However, I know that this is going to be a learning process to go through together through our partnership, and so we will go through that as we continue. Very excited to say that we will have attendance going that's on. We will make sure, again, the commitment that I have or that we have is that we will have assignments, we will have feedback. So all of that is taken care of, and that's not what I mean when I say be patient with us. What I mean is that we can get more creative as we go through those online Google Classroom experiences, as well as with the video conferencing that takes place for those live synchronous sessions. Diversity. We have a diverse population, and again, we're very proud to have that diverse population, and it reflects closely our students. And so we have, again, over 50 nationalities. And then as part of that dedication for our students with our staff, we do offer office hours. So again, our teachers are working from 7 to 3. As you know, our regular bell schedule finishes at 2:30, which means, and that's just our upper levels, right? Which means that your child has access to their teacher for extra support at no cost. This is not a tutoring session. They will have office hours with their students. Learning support. So again, I wanted to come in and really talk about learning support specifically, because we do have quite a few families that come to Darjana that have learning support needs. And so just so you know, we do accept students from mild to moderate. We cannot accept students beyond that, and I'll explain why. But we do offer it for boys from KG1 to grade 3, that is age 3 to 9. And then our girls section, obviously KG1 to grade 6, ages 3 to 11. We do cap it out at 10 to 15%. Why is that important? Because what it means is that we have a number of students that get into our grade levels, and we don't exceed that percentage by grade level. We need to ensure that we have that ratio with our learning support staff. And we believe in inclusion, which means that those students participate in the classroom. And so just like they would in face-to-face, we ensure that we're able to do that virtually as well. And I'll get to that as well. So the types of students that we do have, or the types of needs that come up typically, is that we have students on the spectrum, but they're high functioning. And so what that means is that a lot of times they're really good at a certain task, a certain skill, a certain standard. We have behavioral disorders as well, and we cater to that. We have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADD, ADHD, we take care of that. And of course, our language and speech delay. So we have a speech therapist for that. So again, with our learning staff, for our 10 to 15%, we have 9 special educators. Again, we're working at 100% full capacity. I know you're probably gonna get sick and tired of me saying that, but I think it's really important to know. So we have our special educators, we have our speech therapist, we have our assistants, and of course, our beautiful, lovely head of department. And then we have our virtual learning. And so again, with virtual learning, we will still continue our response to intervention, which is our RTIs, or our interventions that take place. There is differentiation that takes place. Our learning support teachers ensure that our teachers add that into their lesson plan so they can cater to them. Obviously, they have their individualized plan as well. Our students have that, and so we have goals for them year to year. We ensure that we have multi-sensory activities. So while if it's virtual, we will ensure that you have kits to go home with you, so that way your child can use household items, perhaps for those multi-sensory activities. But again, no difference between face-to-face, and virtual. Computer-based, tablet-based, again, students that are learning support does not necessarily mean they don't know how to use technology. They do. A lot of times it's even better for them. As a matter of fact, for me at a personal level, my child who is in learning support absolutely loved the online learning component because he felt that he was able to communicate with his learning support teacher without any concerns at all. And so there was, it was a very nice, comfortable environment for him. So again, they will help you day to day. They will be available to you based on whether or not you're with us, if your child's with us in middle school and high school or in elementary. And again, I'll explain that bell schedule as we move forward. So again, we have a speech language therapist and they will help and be able to interact with your child via our video conferencing. So again, we do not take modified students. We don't have a modified diploma, and so that is why we take mild to moderate. We do provide accommodations. There's a difference between accommodations and modifications. And so sometimes we have students that are with us that are mild to moderate, but as they get to higher levels, will require modification. And again, when I mentioned about the stamping and sort of the licensing and accreditation for that report card, we do not issue modified diplomas. And so typically we will have a conversation with our families to try and support you to find institutions where they can best suit the needs of your child. Our curriculum. This gets me really excited. I love talking about curriculum. And again, if I didn't mention that this is a session for from 5 to 7 for 2 hours, it really is going to be for 2 hours. So fortunately, we will have it recorded. And so hopefully I don't lose your interest. But let me just talk to you about our curriculum. So as I mentioned before, DAR-JENA is proud to have the American Diploma. We're very fortunate that we did that even last year because College Board did not cancel any of their advanced placement classes. And so we don't anticipate any interruptions this year. And again, we are conducting our face-to-face SATs. So that will likely be the same with the SAT-2, of course, depending on the zones and what happens from the Ministry of Health when if they restrict that. But again, American Diploma is something that we offer your students. So you're with us if you want that American standard curriculum. We also offer, of course, KSA courses. I'm proud to say it's also rigorous. As a matter of fact, that's why we have remedial courses. So parents will always ask, you know, it's too difficult for my child. We speak English at home, or perhaps it's a bilingual household. Or we have students, like I said, that represent 50 different countries. And so we have students that are not Arab at all. And so they require those remedial courses. We will still provide those, and I'll explain how that works virtually when your child is in one classroom. When we talked about that one virtual classroom link, that is the exception, is when your child will go to a remedial class or if your child's in an advanced placement class. So again, we have the learning support program, office hours, as I mentioned, Google Classroom with live online synchronous classes, and we have our published weekly unit plan in our dashboard. So here, this is the weekly plan that you can see and what it looks like for our families to follow, so you know what's coming up for the week. So nursery and KG1, our preschool curriculum, this starts from ages 3 to 5 years old. We offer English, obviously, and so we identify names of things, sounds of letters, we build their vocabulary, and we do word recognition with our students. Math, we understand and use numbers, we identify and describe common geometric objects. So for example, that's the shapes, right? They're like, go find a rectangle in a window. And so those are the kinds of things that students learn in our younger years. Can't help but smile when I think about our younger kids. As a matter of fact, they did the Bond and Respond camp over the summer. If you did join us, thank you. I think it helped not just our staff, but our students feel comfortable that they can continue virtually. And so it was really nice to see the interest that we have at those grade levels. Just so you know that we go through themes, and there's a variety of classroom activities that we go, because a lot of times our younger kids are always thinking about me, right? It's me, 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 my toy, my lunch, my snack. And so the world kind of revolves around them. And so that's why we have these themes throughout the year. And the children learn about senses. And again, we want to engage that curiosity of that child. We also offer cooking, art, and PE. That's our nursery and KG1 program. Our KG2 program is our kindergarten. The reason why I need to mention that is some schools still do KG1, KG2, KG3, and KG3 is their kindergarten, but we go a little differently. So we have nursery, KG1, and KG2. And then, let's see, they go through Arabic and English. So obviously they have phonics that they go through. They recall and retell stories. So a lot of times they, in KG1 and nursery, they're going through picture walks. And so as they're going through those picture walks, they're able to just kind of retell the story, just recognize the page number, and it's fun. In kindergarten, they now learn to retell the story using those visuals sometimes. And so there's reading fluency that kind of takes place as well. They generate ideas and they write short sentences. They recognize the capitals and like the punctuation. They know that a full stop is there, so that is one sentence. Arabic and math, so again, this just is simultaneous that we do it in both languages. And so they compare and order numbers. They demonstrate the meaning of addition and subtraction, right? I had one toy, I got rid of two toys. If I have one toy and I added two toys, I'm bad at math now. Okay, one toy and I added two toys, how many toys do I have now? Or if I had one apple and two apples, how many do I have now? And then representation, of course, of data and what that looks like. That also means like when they're looking at the weather and what that means when they're looking at representation of images in order to see that. Or like I mentioned, the apples, if there's two apples, that represents the number 2. And so they're looking at different graphs as well in order to interpret that information. Islamic studies is at the core of our Darjana curriculum, and so we do introduce our students in KG to Quranic verses, as well as obviously Islamic values. Of course, character is so important for us, and really we teach about kindness and compassion. We even have a compassion committee. And then we have French, so there's an introduction to language. Our kids are sponges, and it's great to see that we introduce language to them in order to help with the synapses in their brains so that they are ready for learning and are very curious individuals. So again, themes that go through, so in that weekly plan, you will see the themes, and then you'll notice that they have cooking, art, and PE. So lower elementary curriculum is our grades 1 through 3. And in there, they obviously do English, and that's reading, grammar, spelling, writing, and handwriting. They have mathematics, they have science, Arabic remedial, again, Islamic studies with the remedial sessions as well. Social studies, it includes geography, very important, I think, to mention here because geography is something that's important for people to know. So a lot of times when we do social studies, we just do history, but at Darjana, we actually address geography as well. And then we have computer studies. Again, we have languages of French, we have PE, and we have art. Something to mention here, so I know parents had been asking us, why do I need to have my consumables, or why do I need to buy the books if we're going to learn online? As a matter of fact, what we're committed to is providing you with the textbooks when you purchase them, as well as having them available online. Now, don't forget your child needs the consumable because they'll be writing on it, and then we're teaching them how to share that document with their teachers through their Google Classroom. And so that is how they'll submit assignments. And so you will have your consumable workbook that your child's completing, and then they will still submit those assignments via our Google Classroom. All right, so upper elementaries are grades 4 through 6. And this is where obviously that split happens with our boys' school. We lose our young boys and they grow up and go to Rauda. It's a very nice transition. I'm sure they're very proud of that as they feel a little older and transition to Rauda, to the Rauda building. We offer English, so again, reading, grammar, spelling, very important for grade 4, and then explicit vocabulary instruction for our grades 5 and 6. And then, of course, writing. Writing is introduced throughout this. So just because I mentioned vocabulary or spelling or writing does not mean it doesn't happen. It just means that it's kind of hidden in the curriculum. What it means when we add this is that now it's explicit. They're learning that writing structure in these grade levels. And then you have mathematics, so math for elementary, including pre-algebra. So like I mentioned before, one kept secret is that our students do work at a higher grade level in their math. We offer science, we offer Arabic, again, remediation classes, Islamic studies with remediation classes, social studies and KSA now, and that's where you get the history and geography, computer science, languages, we offer French, physical PE, and art. Something to mention again, so when I talk about languages and we're talking about Arabic, the difference is the seat time. So again, it's a shorter amount of time. It's treated like a second language learning course that they're taking, whereas Arabic is taken at that grade level. So again, we have a rigorous Arabic curriculum, and so students that come in second grade that maybe cannot keep up at that second grade Arabic level get those remedial courses. Again, we still have office hours, which is good to know. So any child that needs support can get that support. Then we have our high school curriculum, which is our grades 10 through 12. So again, just notice, I know we don't have grade 9 in there, but when our guidance counselors talk about their 4-year program as they matriculate to university, it includes our grade 9 students. Just like our PSAT includes our grade 8, grade 9, and grade 10 students. So English, this is literature. Our students ideally are no longer egocentric. I know those of you who have high school kids are probably laughing just the way I'm laughing right now. But what it is that they're learning about the bigger world and globally and the world out there, which is why now they focus on literature. They have grammar. They do have vocabulary again in grade 10. This assists them with the PSAT and the SAT. Again, it's explicit. They've got writing and the SAT 1. And so mathematics, we have pre-calculus for our grades 10, 11, and 12. And then grade 12, calculus, as well as our AP calculus for our students in grade 12. And then science, we have biology, chemistry, and physics. I know this is very important, especially for our families that want to do science. And so this is done a little differently for some people that may be in other schools. It's not integrated. It is separate, but they touch on all 3 of those subjects. Another thing that you need to know, from grade 9 through 12, our kids are always taking science. They're always taking a math course. And it's very important to know, because when they matriculate to university, universities like to see if a student is taking math and science in that last year. As a matter of fact, if they want to go to pharmacy schools, for example, in Sharjah, they're going to make sure that they took a biology course. And so that is something that we make sure that your child has. And again, that's why it's important to talk to our guidance counselor about where you're planning on sending your child when they graduate from Darjana. And so then again, we have Arabic classes, remedial sessions, Islamic studies, remedial sessions, social studies and KSA, again, history and geography, computer science, and physical education. Just in case, again, I think we got another question about the textbook. Yes, the textbooks, access to learning will happen through Google Classroom as well as the video conferencing, but access to the text will be through the dashboard. And so again, you'll have that. In Google Classroom, our teachers will have those text saved for students in chunks, because again, we need to follow our copyright laws, and we will ensure that students have access to what they've purchased in that book. So again, that is why we need to purchase those books. And then we have models for learning. And so we will have level at green. So if we're told by district that we're low risk, we're then face-to-face. And so again, parents are asking, okay, I'm okay and I'm comfortable with the 7 weeks of virtual learning. What happens after that? So as of right now, right after that, we would go face-to-face. And like I said, we're ready for face-to-face with our changes that we've made with our furniture, as well as the safety procedures that we're taking. What does that mean for you in learning? It means that we have multiple layouts in our bell schedule for you. So there's still 40 periods for our students when they come in face-to-face. Now the change here, and I know I didn't mention it yet with elementary, I'll talk about that 3 p.m. again, but if we're face-to-face, we would have our students, obviously our elementary students, report to school as well. Again, hence the 100% capacity that we're working at as staff. And then we have our platform. It will continue being, and if you want to cheat through that chart and see it, you'll notice the dashboard's on there. You'll notice that Google Classroom is on there. So if students are face-to-face, they will still come through and access their learning through dashboard and through Google Classroom. So they will need devices. I'm going to repeat this again, but I know there was a question about, does my child need a device? And if they do, can they use an iPad or tablet? For nursery to lower elementary, we're recommending an iPad or tablet, or obviously a laptop. It is up to you, but iPads and tablets can only be used for lower elementary and below that. So students will report on campus. We will have staggered times, so that's hence that multiple layout when we talked about the bell schedule. They'll have to arrive at different times for safety and be dismissed at different times as well. The requirements, so you know, because you need to prepare, children will have to wear face masks. I'll talk about our lower elementary as we go through, but typically everyone will wear a face mask, face shield. Gloves are voluntary, but again, it depends on what they're doing. So for example, if they will be working on something or at a computer lab, they will have to do that. We're not expecting us to use those computer labs because again, your child will have their own device. School uniform, and please notice school uniform is on the requirements again for all of these because your child will have to wear their school uniform. Sorry kids, you're gonna have to wear it whether you're online or face-to-face. Again, the requirement for our staff is the jackets for our ladies, and our men, our gentlemen, wear their dress formal shirts. And so our students do need to wear their school uniforms, including their PE uniform. So again, PE, live, synchronous sessions, students will have to wear their PE uniform. Okay, so if we're orange and we're in the orange zone, that means we're hybrid. So that's the blended learning training that we've been giving our staff, because again, including the face-to-face, you know, we don't know, you might have a child, unfortunately, who's sick that can't attend. And so we need to make sure that we are still providing online learning. The hybrid just means that when it's like half-half, like let's say, not even half-half, but let's say we're told that we can report on Sunday and Monday, and then all of a sudden we can't report on Tuesday. And so that is something that will happen. And so we will have those multiple layouts for us as well. The dashboard, Google Classroom, Google Meets or Zoom, because again, we might be doing these webinars. Students might be having a session with a college visit. So they're meeting with a college advisor. And so they might be doing something on Zoom. Again, face masks, face shield, gloves, school uniform, laptop or tablet with the mic and camera. So again, if you do have a device at home, we recommend they have their own device. They do need to have a camera because it must be on, just like we're asking for all of our staff to have it on. Again, we will go through the acceptance use policy. We're not expecting everybody to understand all of that, so we will have to walk you through it as well as giving that form. Please, if you have any questions when you go through that form, talk to us, and we will ensure that we have this onboarding taking place for our teachers as well as our students, so that way we can protect everybody's privacy. And then the high risk, I know, God forbid, none of us want that, but life is unpredictable, but we're ready. And so we have our virtual model 100%, which is what is taking place now in the next 7 weeks. When we start school August 30th. And so we will have a bell schedule, which I'll explain as we go through. And so we will have our periods per week. And again, the same things in that table. So let's stop and watch a video real quick. This is from our safety
academic year 2021. We'd like to share with you our plan for a safe return to school based on 3 scenarios: face-to-face, hybrid, and virtual models. Our plan ensures full readiness to shift at any time from one model to another based on the ministry's evaluation and risk assessment. Our virtual model is based on a top priority: the equitable access of all our students to our rigorous curriculum virtually. Our first day of school remains unchanged. Accessing our school system will be done through dashboard login. We'll be using Google Classroom, Google Meet, and other G Suite tools. Our teachers will be able to manage live classes, assignments, and share materials with students such as YouTube videos and other resources. The tools offer direct real-time feedback, live interaction, discussions on the stream, group work, surveys, and graded assessments. Parents can track their child's work and review announcements and activities. We're committed to providing the rigorous curriculum DJIS is known for, whether physically or virtually, with the application of the highest quality standards. Our learning model can be accessed to our student dashboard, supported by Google Classroom, with live online sessions through interactive video conferencing on Google Meet. It's fully adaptable with the flexibility to change and shift from one modality to another with minimum disruption depending on the risk assessment. The virtual modality offers a standard 40 periods per week online, including PE, art, computer, and science labs, which will be delivered through online sessions as well. Weekly plans are published every Saturday detailing online activities and lessons for each class, as well as timings for online quizzes. Quizzes and homework assessments are online, timed, and synchronous. Our teachers are trained on the learning model and platform. They've also integrated standards into lesson plans. Our network of social workers is available online to support our students socially and emotionally. Quality checks are in place to ensure continuous evaluation and improvement. And our infrastructure is adapted and tested to hold interactive live broadcasting of all sessions. Our team of educators, teachers, administrators, and support staff members are ready to support our students as they virtually return to school.
Okay, and so additional details regarding our virtual learning. Hopefully that visual helped. We will also have that video, by the way, posted. It will be in our Darjana YouTube channel, as well as this webinar. And so if you need to go back and watch it, we will also have it as a separate link. Okay, so additional details on virtual learning, just to reiterate, because I know I talk fast, but hopefully if you have questions as well, our team is responding on the chat. So we have homework, classwork, project, and attendance grades. It is still continuing. So moms and dads, I know you're probably happy about that. I know our students are probably not happy about that. And so if your child is not actually in the Google Meets class, our AQCs as well as our floor supervisors will be checking to see if your child is there. And so you will be notified in real time if your child is not attending that class. And so again, you have the percentage for the overall grade. Quizzes are still twice per week. That will be on a schedule that is shared with you. And then again, it's through the dashboard. It's timed. It's just like online homework. And so your child will take that test. And so we'll be sure that we have these quizzes available to our students just like we usually do. And then they'll know exactly what they need to do. Google Classroom grades are exported through the dashboard weekly. So again, you can see that. Again, when you go in Google Classroom, you can actually see your child's feedback. So if they've submitted an assignment and they have their the grade or feedback from the teacher. I don't want to say grade because sometimes it's not a grade. It might be that the teacher's asking them to fix their capitalization or something, depending on the standard that they're reinforcing. It might be, as a matter of fact, here's that math problem. I like the way you tried it. Could you try it this way? And so again, there will be some differences in how they're doing that. But again, we're still keeping our assessments, especially our quizzes, as well as like our normal stuff like dictation and stuff like that. And so then you'll be able to see your child's overall grade. This is the same grading and weighting system that we had last year. And so it's going to be a little different because you have Google Classroom, which basically is the teacher's gradebook and like your child's learning environment again. So again, you can see in real time. As a matter of fact, you can see if your child submitted an assignment. So our students sometimes like to submit an assignment and it's blank. Right? But miss, I submitted my assignment, shows that I submitted it, but it's empty. And so mom, dad, you can actually see if it's empty. And so you'll know exactly when you're getting feedback on that for those assignments that are posted. There's a lot of tricks that kids will do. But again, like I said, our staff are prepared and we're ready to be transparent and communicative. Again, #1 partnership is with you. You want your child learning, we want your child learning. And so we will go through that together. Students submit all their classwork, homework, and projects through the Google Classroom. And that's because collaboration can also take place through Google Classroom and Google Meets. And so again, I'm not gonna go into details with that, but just so you know that that is still something that takes place. It's not like your child's independent and learning alone. They will have opportunities to work together and partner with students. So each class section will have a dedicated Google Meet room. So again, when they get into the dashboard, they will click on that address. So just like you got for the Zoom session, there was an address that you had to click. They will click on that. So a child has a class at 7 a.m. He or she has their uniform. They click on that address and they just leave that open the entire day. And so when they have breaks, they'll be told to turn off their video and mute their mic. And when they get back on, they got to turn it on. So again, some questions. Parents are asking, what if my child loses Wi-Fi connection? What if my child's pretending to lose Wi-Fi connection? Again, you will be contacted by that AQC. You will be told, hey, your child's not on. Is there something going on to confirm it? And then we have office hours. So maybe the students won't like this, but they're going to have to meet with that teacher for office hours to get that learning to take place. Now, again, we are recording our sessions, especially on our girls' side. However, one thing that you need to know is that that is not something that we are necessarily sharing. It is something for review. And so we will ensure that we have only females that are reviewing that. We have a team, a committee, if you will, that will review that with any concerns that you have. But again, for privacy purposes, please, 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 please respect what we're trying to share. Again, the diversity that we have and the culture that we respect. And so we're asking that we teach our children and you help us teach our children to not screenshot, not share anything in those live sessions. And we promise the same thing. And so if there's something that we're investigating, obviously we'll investigate it and then we'll give you that report back. But really, children that are doing these live sessions should be online, should be in real time with their teacher. And again, if they have any questions during that time, they can still meet with their teacher for office hours. And if they miss it, they will have to meet with their teacher for office hours. And so we will need your help with that. Teachers and admin will enter and leave the room just like they would on a regular school day. The link will be provided on dashboard and that way they have access to it to click. And there's also the calendar invite. So what's great is we have Google Calendar, and that synchronizes with our G Suite, which is really exciting. Again, maybe I shouldn't go into details, but what it means is that your child will have it on their calendar. If they have it on their cell phone, it means they can put a notification. It will beep. You can put that notification as well. So it'll beep and you can say, hey, passing time finished. And so you need to make sure that you are on your session. And I'll explain that bell schedule. Students in remedial or AP courses, like I mentioned before, will have to jump to another classroom. And so again, everybody's aware of that roster and who needs to be in which class when. And so when they jump to that other address, we'll know that they're in there and they will be with their group. And again, office hours is provided. We have activities, extracurricular, extra classes. So excited to share with you what was done last year, as well as what we're going to do this year. So again, 100% capacity. You are paying for a full load school experience. And again, we're very prepared and very ready to share that with you. And then, so attendance, like I said, because again, I know it's going to be asked, but you know, if my kid doesn't go, how am I going to know? And what if I'm at work? You're still going to be contacted just like you were usually. So mom and dad, you might not be happy with us if you are not reporting to work at 7 a.m. and we have to contact you because your child did not get onto the 7 a.m. course. And so you will be contacted. Student online conduct obviously is the same as it would be in a classroom. Just one thing that you need to know, and I'm not saying that this is ever acceptable, but one thing I know with our boys' school as well as our girls' school, I shouldn't say it's just the girls' school. Boys' school and girls' school, disrespect or inappropriate behavior is never acceptable. And so our way of dealing with it is redirection, education. And so again, I'm so happy that we have our social workers, and then we have other adults that our students interact with. And so every adult that they interact with, they need to hold at that with respect. And so that is something that we take very seriously. And again, we will go over those rules and expectations. Teachers will go over those rules and expectations because it is something, it's still a teaching learning process. And so we'll be sure to reinforce that. But I just wanted parents to know, especially for our new families coming in, just in case you wanted to know what that looks like when they come into the classroom. And honestly, what I've heard is that our kids are very respectful. And so I love that. And again, they have that curiosity for learning. As a matter of fact, maybe a little too much because they want to make sure that they get that grade. But at the same time, we do offer these other activities for them. But again, I don't want to apologize for our work ethic. Our students work hard, our staff work hard. We have a wonderful work ethic at Darjana, and we're very proud of it. All right, so let's continue. So safety, again, that was asked, and this is the actual photograph of our sample of our seats. And so I just wanted to show you because there's also, I know you can't see it in the photograph, but there is dividers also between the students to ensure safety. Kids, especially at our middle school level, like to slap and touch each other. I don't know what it is, but they like to do it. Doesn't matter what culture you're from, everybody does it. So we do need those panels for those kids so they are not touching each other. Again, it's about safety, and sometimes they just forget. As a matter of fact, I know, again, it's re-education. We're doing that with our organizations and our staff. I'm sure you're experiencing that if you're working. It's just, it's a strange norm that it's a new normal that we have to experience. But what's lovely about that is that it does not obstruct their view of the teacher, of that learning environment, and we still have bright light that's in that classroom. They still have the smart board access, and again, they will have their own device as well when they're in there. And so just to show you, this is a school in Seoul, but we will have the construction tape as well on our stairways to divide to help students understand when they're walking, as well as adults. Because we do it. We'll walk up the stairs and we're side by side, and we shouldn't do that. So we have to be on one side, and we have one-way traffic with our safety. One thing to mention, and I'm proud to say this is, again, a Darjana generated application. And so we have the health tracker. What that is we are asking parents to please be committed to ensuring that when we go face-to-face, that your child is symptom-free for 14 days. And so what that means with that health tracker is you will go in and daily, put in daily what your child, if your child has symptoms or not. Obviously, if your child has symptoms, there will be instructions for that. And so we will explain that again. It's not here, but we will have special webinars for you in order for you to understand. And so the health tracker is a way for Darjana to keep track with not just our students, but our staff. So again, we're number one on safety for everything with our staff as well as our students. We care a lot about everybody. And so just so you know that even our staff have to complete that health tracker. And our commitment, again, to you is that we will not compromise our children's health and safety. We know how important that is to you. It's important to us. Again, we are parents, we are daughters, we're sons, we have our grandparents. We all understand that commitment when we're coming through to go to work, how important it is. And I'll tell you right now, one thing that's lovely about our staff is that they love teaching, they love education. And so what they're committed to is educating our children. And we know the risks that they're taking when it comes to health. And we are saying that when you come to Darjana, whether virtual or face-to-face, we're top on safety. So that's my big spiel on the health tracker. But again, I'm excited because that was created by Darjana. We have these amazing capabilities with our staff. So our IT team is just great. They're working now to make sure that our smart boards are ready. They're making sure that our infrastructure is ready. They have gone in and helped with this the health tracker. They've gone in with the dashboard. And so all of these back-end things that are happening is all to ensure that we get 100% access to learning and teaching, which is what we're really good at. We also have the isolation room. So we have a crisis management committee, just so you know. So you might get an invite as a parent. As a matter of fact, you'll get an invite for some of our committees that we have. Crisis management is one of them. It's very important because we want to have all aspects of that. So again, we always ask for parent input, but we do understand that some parents feel shy, right? They don't want to ask the question. And I think that's why sometimes we'll get like these mass emails. But just keep in mind that we have an open door policy. If you have a concern, please let us know and we'll address it. If we don't address it within 24 hours, just give us those 24 hours. I shouldn't say it, we will get back to you within the 24 hours. That is kind of our rules. And so we have an isolation room, which is part of that criteria. As a matter of fact, in Herat, I know that we have two. Rauda, I'm sure, has more than one. And so that way if a child does have symptoms during the school day, because we'll do those regular checks, we will put them in that isolation room and make sure we contact the emergency contact to come and collect their child. And so we do need that isolation room to ensure that they're not exposed to other students. We do function in isolation in some ways, but again, to the max of what we can do to keep safe. So again, your child will have that classroom with this beautiful, I'm so proud. It's wonderful. It just makes you feel safe. And then we have the acceptance use policy, as I mentioned before. And so the acceptance use policy is many students right now are getting emails. So parents, I know if you have a child in nursery, KG1 or KG2, you're asking me, what? Why? Or what? I wasn't ready for this. It's kind of like when your child gets their new cell phone. But it's a new age, it's a new day. Your child does need a DJIS email. As a matter of fact, we will have webinars like this that are just for our students or just for our families. And so when that happens and you reserve, we do not allow, so if you're trying to come in on your cell phone and you forgot to default it, you will be kicked out or you would not be allowed. So our students do need that email in order for them to access the Google Classroom and the Google Meets. And so when you get that announcement about your child's email, there will also be this acceptance use policy, ideally with an age-appropriate video for you to watch, so that way you can watch it with your child. Please watch it with your child. We always talk about interactive cartoons and stuff like that, and research shows that it's very important that you actually watch the parents who watch it with their kids, the kids are affected more with that learning. And so please sit and take the time to go over this very serious acceptance use policy. Again, technology is new. When you get a phone, it's not like you have a manual that teaches you what's right and what's wrong. And so what we're asking is to please over communicate it with your child. We will over communicate it with your child. And like I said, for me to have to mention, even with parents and families, to please not repost, to please not take something out of context and share it. It just means I know that we have quick fingers. And so what happens is we get something and we forward it. We get something and we do something with it. And what we want is responsible use. And so that is very important that we educate all of us with that. And so we take the time to think about what we're posting and what it means when we're doing that. And then we have to take responsibility for what we post as well. So access to learning, as you saw in the video, again, there's the dashboard, there's Google Classroom, and then you have our Google Meets and our Zoom. And so I explained that already, why we have those two for our video conferencing. You also got this in our newsletter. And so you have the online gradebook. You have a school issued email, as I mentioned, recorded online video conferencing, and then published weekly unit plans, teacher tutorial hours, and webinars. Bell schedule, this is what you've been waiting for. Okay, I wanted to explain it here because I need to go through it specifically. So we are going to start school for elementary, lower and upper. Now remember, those grades is grades 1 through 6 will start at 3 p.m. Now parents, let me go through this as I talk. Elementary will start at 3 p.m. They need passing time. And what this passing time is that when you're on a classroom session, you need a break. So and the teachers need to come in and out. And so what's going to happen is your child, again, has their Google Meets. They get to turn off their video and mute their mic, and they will go for a 5-minute passing time to get a drink of water, use the restroom, and come back ready for their next session. And so for elementary, for those grades, like I mentioned, would go from 3 to 6:50. So what we're doing is we're fitting in 5 periods for your child. Obviously the schedule will look different for each student and at those different grade levels. So we did not put that in there. And so just so you know, electives or activities, what we call activities, will take place during the school day. So parents going to ask me, okay, so I come home from work, my child's going to go from 3 to 6:50. As you know, we cannot, we're educators, and the research shows we cannot have a child go on until 7 or 9 p.m. And so 6:50 is what we've decided is what we believe is going to work for your child. And then what's going to happen is during the day, they will access on a schedule their PE, computer classes, art classes, language classes. So French, for example. And so I guess what we're saying is that those are the fun classes. And so those are the classes that your students are going to join. They will still get an attendance notification. They still have to attend it. It's still a normal class. It's still on Google Classroom. They still have assignments. And so nothing has changed as far as the curriculum, the manhaj for that. The rigor in this is very important for us. And it's very important that, again, we're giving you a full experience, Darjana experience. And so that will take place during the day. Now, if your child is in nursery, KG1 or KG2, what we're doing is that we are giving you the option. That means that you can enroll your child for a 7 to 2:30 schedule, or that 3 p.m. to 6:50 with these courses during the day. And so if we will send out a survey, obviously, we're going to send out a survey to you so you can let us know which schedule you would like. And I think that's very important that we're trying to accommodate our families. We know that for some parents, 3 p.m. works like a charm. It's great for them. That is something that they want to do. And then keep in mind, our kids are very technology savvy. They will be able to click on that probably after the first week or so. They'll be able to get onto those courses during the day without any support. And again, if your child's not on, we will have that attendance notification to you so your child is on board. So we will send out a survey to our registered parents to decide. Again, 100% full capacity, which means we are not collapsing sections. And so that is why we're able to offer this. We're not one of those schools that is trimming or downsizing with our staff. And so we don't have to cut corners with these things. And so we are giving you that option. Now, Middle school and high school, so sorry, you don't have that option. So kids will have to start at 7 a.m. Until 2:30. And so there's the bell schedule that we have there. We did add passing time into the schedule so you can see it. And so that way our teachers know when to stop teaching, to make sure that students have time to then just take a little break and come in. And we still have our breaks in there as well. Again, very important because when we go face-to-face, it's important that we follow that bell schedule. So we can do both, okay? And we'll give you some more information about that with the choices with the bell schedule. Social activities and events. I don't think we had enough room on the slide, to be honest with you. And I wonder if parents knew this. I think if your children were involved, or maybe if you even helped chaperone, you might know about this. But it's really great because we're such a large school, mashallah. We have 5,000 students. And so I don't think everybody has access to there's no way you could possibly know everything that's going on, even if we put it in the newsletter. So here's our social activities and events. Saudi National Day, obviously. It is still going to happen virtually. And we're very excited to say that we've got plans for what that's going to look like. We've got International Day, because again, we might like to celebrate our diversity. Arabic Language Day, do-it-yourself activity, Children's Day, Earth Day. I mean, I could go on. You can read the slide. We have our fun fair. I heard we give cotton candy, one of my favorite things. And so any excuse for cotton candy, I'm there. One thing I do want to mention is we do our college fair and visits. One thing that's amazing, I think that's changed with the world now that we're virtual, is we have access to everybody. And so what that means is that perhaps when our guidance counselors were trying to have students have access to colleges and advisors, now they can do that through a webinar. And so it's a wonderful opportunity. Again, if we're face-to-face, as you know, we still had those visits. We also have fairs that we attend and hosting visitors as well. So I just wanted to put that plug in. And we had to separate our activities with our clubs. And so we have clubs and extracurriculars. We have Model United Nations. Our kids do attend conferences, and they do really well. And I'm going to talk about our recognitions later. Environmental Club. So we've been doing that. It's great that we've already been thinking about taking care of Mother Earth. We have community service. So I don't know if you knew this, but we do work with IMC, Batarji. PAL, which is our peer advisory learning. So when they go in and help our internal students, again, we can do this virtually. And so perhaps we have a reading session, and then we're going to have our older kids get online with our younger children to read to them or help them get through some learning. Again, this is why we would go through that acceptance use policy, because we have to protect every single one of our children. Please, 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 if anything, if you are the type to get out on WhatsApp and talk to parents, please send that message because it is going to be so important that we protect our children as well as our staff. We also get together with the Help Center. It's always a wonderful opportunity. If you haven't had an opportunity to go in and support the Help Center, it's a wonderful organization. We have IFAT as well, and Panda. And so our kids do this community service requirements. Again, looks wonderful for universities, but I will say be careful. We don't just slam our kids with community service. We do what works for them in their portfolio. So again, that is something that our guidance counselor can assist with. Schools don't like to see that kids are doing everything. They want to see what they're passionate about. And so the most important thing that you know is that Darjana offers this array of opportunities. Now, we do have our paid sponsored clubs, which is, it's something we do every Thursday and Saturday. Those will continue. And so we have basketball, football, handball, crafts, drama, karate, languages, and guitar. Not done yet. Okay, we have these competitions that we did. Very proud. We did run that first Lego League. We hosted it, and it was a huge success. Very exciting. A lot of collaboration that took place. International Science Olympics. Again, these are the certificates that our students have earned that we have in there. Kangaroo Math Olympics. Madrasati, so with the boys section, someone asked me, what is that? The kids had to come up with a portfolio of their project, and our students came in first place for that. Then we have the spelling bee, mental math, and obviously even our competitions within our classrooms, like the best author contest that takes place. Here's our achievements that have taken place. So just take a second and take a look, because I think it's already 6:28 and we want to be sure to answer your questions. The National Olympiad in Informatics, first place regionally. That's so important. Third and fourth place in the kingdom. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you know this, but Darjana was permitted to nominate 7 students from our school. And I have to tell you, it's because of our reputation. It is because we're that good. And so we were able to nominate 7 of our students. The Dialogue Project Communication Skill, first place. European National Olympiad in Mathematics, we got a medal for the model answer. That means that our student provided an exemplar answer to that competition, which is why it was deserving of that medal. National Science Olympiad, first place regionally, second place in the kingdom. The kangaroo competition, I'm sorry, it looks so cute. Highest rate in terms of the number of students who successfully passed in that competition. So again, we got gold, silver, and bronze medals, and I can't even mention all of them. And so you can see from that infographic what we've done, as well as our 2 delegates earning awards for our Model United Nations. And karate, we do that as well. Okay, success through partnership. Now, the reason why we have this slide in, that our team decided to add this, is because as we're talking to our families, again, you are part of our partnership. You are our extension to the community. And a lot of times we like to work with our community. So as we mentioned when we talked about Batarji, we talked about IMC, IFET. Here we worked with Dot Hanan schools, which I went to kindergarten in. And we have Unilever and Eco Kids. This was a wonderful program for our students to experience, to have to care for plants, learn about the environment. And so that is a program that we had our students involved in. And so again, if you are interested in being involved, I know that you received this Zoom email invite through our marketing email. Please contact our marketing department if there is something that you have in mind or something that we can do together. Because again, when our students learn through the community, they are able to give back, and that is so important. So then coming up, this is the big, tough question I think everybody's been asking: tuition fees. Hopefully you understand now when I keep saying that we're working at 100% capacity, this is why we simply were not able to do it. One of the things we were able to do is offer 1,000 riyals discount or off the tuition fees for the first semester because of the virtual learning that's taking place. Should we have virtual learning taking place again in the second semester, we will also have that 1,000 riyal break from the tuition fees. Now again, the reason why we're saying that is we are prepared. We're prepared for face-to-face learning. A lot of parents have said they want face-to-face. Research shows face-to-face is extremely beneficial for students. And so one thing that we're committed to, again, a visionary owner, we have all of the setup ready for that face-to-face. And so that is why we are not able to cut corners with those tuition fees. Textbooks we put in there because yes, you still need to purchase the textbooks. As I mentioned about copyright, you need to know that you will not, it won't be like the full, but what it will be is like in Google Classroom, they will have those sections that they've got. You still need the consumables. You're going to fill that out. Your children, I'm sorry, will fill that out. And then they will upload that as part of their assignment. So that is needed. Registration. We still have, I'm trying to think of registration. Why did I put that? Why did we put registration? I need help with that question. Okay, significant investments that we have for sure is the infrastructure. So like I mentioned, we're going in and we're changing. We have to add, this is wiring, this is Wi-Fi connection, even outlets for students. And so it's a big thing when we talk about infrastructure. Again, we're very confident. Our team's able to create a health tracker. They can create anything. They actually created the dashboard. And so again, I don't know if our families know this, but the dashboard is homegrown from Darjana. And so we have our furniture that's ready, our professional development, technology, and again, the health tracker. And so very, very important. This is our school calendar. And so just so you know, we're starting on time, August 30th. Our staff have been working before that staff date, where it says August 23rd. They've actually been working before that, and they're working hard. God bless them. I know they've been working really hard to make sure that they're ready for seeing your kids. They can't wait to have children. That's why we're in this job. We can't wait for our students. So this is our calendar. It is posted on our website. Please go to our website. Again, if there's information when you go to our website, we need that partnership. If there's something missing, please email us. Let us know that something was not accessible or you were hoping for X information on there and it wasn't there. I know some parents are asking if this session will be in Arabic and translated. We are planning that. So this initial webinar is in English, and we have our slides, and then we will have one in Arabic as well. And please note that we will continue having further webinars based on different objectives that we have. So we need to talk about our social emotional learning that's in our hidden curriculum, for example. We know that kids are going to go through trauma. That is why we have that crisis management committee. Students will come in, they're going to be a little scared when they see their teachers. And it's especially if they're online and they're getting to know their cohort. And then when they come face to face, everybody's wearing a mask. And when they're in nursery, KG1 and KG2, we're not dividing those classes like you saw. So those kids will still be able to touch. We're going to keep we're going to sanitize strictly. We follow the World Health Organization requirements and guidelines, but our teachers will have extra protection because what research shows is that actually it's the adults that could be at risk. And so they will have likely PPE and the gloves and face shields and so forth. But students will be face-to-face and be able to interact and touch the manipulatives because that's how they learn. So thank you very much. I know that we're still answering questions. It's 6:36. And so I will mention a couple things that I know that my team is asking me to be sure that I mention live now, and so I will do that. So again, this recording will be made available along with further tutorials like how to get on Google Classroom, how to upload a Google Doc. Sometimes the simplest things can be complicated, and so we'll be sure to make sure that there's those tutorials. There's demo lessons as well. So what we'll be working on is having the Google Classroom, so you know what that looks like, and then you can walk through it with your child, and informational videos on our YouTube channel. Now again, we have permission to have our parents with a student, right? A parent has to come with the student if they have any questions and need a face-to-face tutorial on how to access the learning or other tools that we offer. And so we will have that option. It will be by reservation, of course, for the safety of our staff and our students. Right now, if you've come in for registration, oh, that's what that registration was. Registration is open. And I do hope that you have come to visit our campus. Again, we take full pride in the fact that we're holding safety as number one. And so if you've come in and visit us, you can actually see, we have a sample of those seats on our, at least on our stage. So that way you can experience what that's like. So please come in if you need to face-to-face for registration. We're only accepting one adult, no children, please. Again, for your safety, we could still pay online. And so that is something that is taking place. And so we have over 3,000 parents and new additions to our families, 3,000 because we have 5,000 students at Darjana. And again, we will host more webinars. Okay, and so someone asked to re-explain the elementary session. So let me go back and do that. That's a good question. Okay, so elementary grades 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is Rauda and Hera. Students will start at 3 p.m. So according to the spell schedule that you see, 3 p.m. they will start. They start period 1. It is a 40-minute period. Then they have passing time for 5 minutes. Period 2, period 3, a break, period 4, and then period 5. So they will finish school at 6:50, live online synchronous sessions. During the day, during the day before 3 p.m., those students will have access to our electives or our activities courses. So that's our computer science, our French, our art. I'm sure I'm forgetting some now. But again, so that is the elective. So all the non-core classes are going to be taken during the day. And again, it is still full. It is still a schedule, and your child will attend. What we're saying is that we want to ensure that you are there with your child during those core classes. And so your child will be able to get in that during the day. Now someone, so let me still explain. And so when they're for nursery, KG1 and KG2, we have flexibility, and we're giving you parents that flexibility. So you'll be getting a survey to then decide if you would like to enroll your child during the day. So if you're elementary, you can't, right? If you're a grade 1 student, you don't have this option. But if you're nursery, KG1 or KG2, you can fill out that survey and say, I would like my child enrolled in this other bell schedule that you see that's for middle school and high school. And so that would be from 7 to 2:30. And so those children can join online during that time, during that bell schedule. And so again, we're giving you that option, or they can join the afternoon session, which is 3 to 6:50. Now, the way that works, when I explained about the campus being open from 7 to 3, if you needed to have a meeting with a teacher, again, our staff are working full day. And so they have time during the day, at other times, to be available for a parent-teacher meeting, for example. So with the AQC, so if you needed to meet with them, they're available for you to meet. And so that is that schedule for elementary. Someone asked to please also talk about the social worker's role. I know I mentioned it, but probably not enough. Our social workers work full-time. We have one for each division. Again, we have social workers on the boys' side as well. They take care of the needs of our students. We also have our social emotional learning it's hidden. It's part of our curriculum. It's in the hidden curriculum. So what that means is it's integrated into our regular curriculum. So it's there, but it's not isolated. And so it's not like kids know that they're learning it. But it is something that is part of our curriculum. And then again, if a student has a need, they take care of that. Because again, kids are scared. Like I said, they lost quite a lot. When we talk about trauma, people right away think of bereavement, right? If someone passed away. But for our kids, and I know those of you as parents know what I'm talking about, they've experienced losses. They've experienced loss in their recess. They experienced loss in their school, in their routines, in their lunches. And then when they want to come to school, they get excited. And then they're going to realize it's a little different. It's like, oh my gosh, it's a little different. And so our social workers will be working on that transition for reentry. So again, they're already working right now on what that needs to look like for students after the 7 weeks of virtual learning. So they can meet with your children as a class to talk about those expectations so they don't go through shock. And then of course, if they need them, they're there. We do have regular emotional needs that our children go through. It's a normal part of growing up. And so that is something that they address as well. And so that includes anxiety, depression, sometimes self-harming. And so our social workers do take care of that and do it very confidentially for our families. An IT hotline support. Okay, so someone asked about the IT. Just keep in mind, our IT helps with our infrastructure. What we will have, depending on the questions, is contact information for you, so you know who to contact. based on what your need is. So for example, if your child's camera turned off, you would still contact the AQC, and then we will do it on that back end to find out what you need to get that support. If you need technical support just to get set up, again, we have those meetings where you're permitted to come to campus. You don't need to bring your child for that unless there was a session where you wanted to have a walkthrough together. And so we can be sure that you've got that. Cameras, someone asked if they can open them. I need to rephrase that. They must open them. And so just so you know, students must open their cameras, just like our staff will have their cameras on for those live synchronous sessions. If a student has their camera off, that is a problem. It is as though they're not attending. We cannot count that as active learning. So just like me giving this webinar and speaking, a lot of you are using the visual to see me and see my mouth moving. That's just the way we learn. And so it's very important that we have access to our students and our teachers like we would in a regular classroom. So they must open their cameras. Okay, so it's 6:44. We're still answering questions through the Q&A. So if you've got questions, we're just going to take our time now to answer them. I will stop speaking and we are going to go through our, I'm going to play some music as we answer these questions. And then when time runs out at 7 p.m., if we were not able to answer your question clearly, we will be sure to address that. And thank you for joining us today. Have a great day.